Welcome. I'm Eve Young, Jerusalem Post economics correspondent, here today with Tomer Perry, the CEO of Innocom from Aman Group. Tomer, thank you so much for being here with me today.
Thank you for being.
Before we dive into the wide world of Innocom, let's start with the wider world of cyber.
Yeah.
Give us the breakdown for people who don't know. What is cyber? What is this sector? What do you deal with? What do you do?
Yeah. So in the new era of digital workspace, we need to safeguard, all the layers that we have. So it can be a data, it can be a network, devices, all this stuff. So there are a lot of surface of attack from attackers, and we need to safeguard, this all the layers. So it can be a network security, it can be a endpoint security, cloud security, all these kind of layers, and of course data, which is very sensitive today. So on all these kind of layers, we need to protect, and this is eventually cybersecurity in a big picture.
No, big picture is perfect. I feel like it's such a buzzword. And so it's great to get that overview. And I think part of why it's such a buzzword is because the sector has really done very well during the Israel-Hamas War. And we've seen a ton of impacts on investment in Israeli companies, but cyber has kind of been a really strong sector. Can you give us that overview? How is the sector doing? What are you seeing in terms of investments?
Yeah, so we see a very good resilience and growth in cybersecurity, despite the war and despite the GDP in Israel was decreased in 1.5% during the last in 2024. We see a growth in cybersecurity, and this is because we see a surge in the attacks. I think that during the war, we see a lot of, let's say, growth in attacks on infrastructure. So it can be a grids, it can be in water infrastructure. And the main thing is that, pro-Palestine attackers around the globe are trying to attack and outage, the main infrastructure in Israel. So, and of course, big organizations like, financial, government, and other stuff. So we try, to outage and try also to deny the services of a lot of things. So we see a lot of kind of attacks. It's the big variety of attacks, let's say. And this kind of growing in the attacks surface, it's bringing a lot of new generation of more demands of cybersecurity.
I think that it's interesting that cyber is doing so well in Israel that people are actually a bit worried, right? They're concerned that we're putting all our eggs in one basket, that cyber is becoming such a strong sector that if for some reason Israel were to lose its leadership in the field, that it would be a massive hit to high tech, right? It was something like half of all exits that we've seen
It's even
recently.
more. It's even more. Yeah, but I think, the excellence in cybersecurity in Israel, it's so strong and so deep. So I don't see any concern about this. And I think the investments are huge in this field. So I see a growth and resilience demands in cybersecurity. And because of the excellence of the people in Israel that comes from intelligence, 8,200 and this kind of, units. It's in, in the nature. So it's kind of the DNA of the people in Israel. So I don't see, I would not concern about, let's say.
You're not so worried about it.
No,
You're
no.
the IDF is going to keep
Yeah,
us at the head of that field.
it's not only IDF, it's also, from schools, it's basic education in Israel already, even before IDF. So
That's wild. I didn't know that.
yeah,
That's really interesting.
yeah.
Let's talk a bit about kind of more of the personal maybe impacts of the war on the sector? Just anecdotally, I have friends who work in various high-tech cyber companies and also did a ton of reserve duty during the war. Do you think there's been a really kind of we know that a lot of the experts working in cyber are also that good because they came from IDF units, but
Yeah,
then during the war they had to go back to do reserves in those IDF
exactly,
units. Let's
exactly.
talk, what personal impacts of the war have you seen on the workforce?
We see a military mobilization, and people they need to serve, and they call on duty, and there is also a depletion of human resources, and also people that relocated during the war because of
Yeah, a report. A report came out just yesterday about like a 2% relocate, like something like Israel's high tech workforce as a whole shrank 2% during the war because of relocation.
yeah, so it's relocation, and also companies want to reduce risks, and also, of course, personal pressure, stress. People experience a lot of things, lose a lot of friends.
Yeah.
So it affects on the people. But again, I think that the excellence of the people who still here and still working in full force, and also compensating about other people that need to call to, reserve and things like that. So we see the sector of cybersecurity, we see its growth, and a lot of people also came in. And also, something that we see, the difference from the past, people are not, let's say, fast moving between, companies. They are not,
Oh, interesting.
yeah, so they're keeping the roles, they're keeping, it's very uncertainty, in the global economic, and also in Israel economic, because of the geopolitical
Yeah, actually,
concerns.
I want to get into that a little bit. Kind of looking more globally, we know that Israel's image and standing has certainly changed around the world since the outbreak of the war. How is that affecting work with multinational companies? Are you seeing an impact?
Yes, some multinational companies, some of them are, let's say, strict to a lot of political and geopolitical issues. We remember, Google with the protests that they
Yeah.
have, and that they need to balance between, the needs, and also pressures that come from other places. I think the resilience and the goals are amazing, because I think we strengthened also all the capabilities during, despite all these
Wow.
geopolitical issues, because we see its growth. We see a lot of also exits. So just few weeks ago, with
Yeah.
amazing, one of the biggest ever. Um, so the resilience, and the excellence of what we are bringing is beat all the geopolitical issues. We see a lot of issues, so it's media, negative media about Israel, some even disinformation about what we are, who we are, what we are doing. Let's say it's affect maybe globally, and the atmosphere, but eventually the excellence is beating all these kind of geopolitical consumptions. And
Amazing. It's
yeah,
interesting that
yeah,
like the quality is just overcoming the noise.
yeah. So yeah, of course, we see a growing demand of cybersecurity solutions, because the war also increased dramatically the attacks on Israel. So we see more than 2.5 attacks from the past.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it's in a lot of layers. Our expertise in cybersecurity brings us, let's say, confident, and despite uncertainty, on the market sometimes, the cybersecurity is very strong because of our expertise.
Let's kind of get more into the technical side of things, but
Okay.
like, of course, for a non-expert audience, go
Okay.
easy on us.
Okay.
How are we going to see the cyber landscape evolve over the coming years?
Yeah. So everybody talk about AI and machine learning.
Yep.
So AI is a key key player, in cybersecurity as well, because attacks became to be more automated, and and it speeds also the level of attacks. So there is a new frame in cybersecurity, fighting AI with AI.
Interesting.
Yeah, so to defend organizations from attacks, we need to defend with machine learning and AI. We need to automate the things because the level of the attacks is much faster, and we see a arm race between attackers and defenders.
Wow.
And this is our job, to keep to date, with all the attacks. We see that because of the level of the attacks, and that became to be massive, with all the aspects, it's denial of service, trying to denial of services in Israel, many infrastructures in Israel. So the level of let's say defenders should be in the next level.
They have to push arms race, right? Like they're
Yeah,
pushing to
exactly.
keep up. That
Exactly.
sounds a little bit scary. You think it's not scary?
No, no. You talked about the landscape of so it's not only AI. There are a lot of other things. Organization wants a to be based on zero trust, zero trust on whoever connected. So everyone is suspected.
I didn't know that. That's a principle of cybersecurity,
Yeah,
zero trust.
it's called zero trust,
Interesting.
and zero trust means no one is trusted. You want to connect to the network from your device. Remote workers, which is very popular since the corona. So zero trust is very popular, and I think it's will be more and more effective in the coming years. So this is another topic. A lot of things regarding and issues regarding the supply chain, which is a very weak, let's say, part of all the landscape of cybersecurity, because third party that work with organization is a backdoor,
That's
for
interesting.
attacks. So this is another principle that we're seeing growth. Deepfake,
Oh, okay.
you know,
Deepfake is a topic that I've heard of, and that sounds like I think nothing sounds scarier when
yeah,
you talk about AI, when you talk about new capabilities.
yeah, exactly.
How do you defend against what? Give us a little deepfake
Yeah,
summary.
we need to evaluate new defending tools for this. So this is something that progressing now, because it's also in initial phase. Also, the deep fake, and also of course everybody works with LLM, which is ChatGPT and things like that, and also this surface is another leg for attacks.
Interesting.
Yeah, so let's say the inflation with a lot of tools, AI tools, brings a lot of let's say challenges also to the defenders.
Yeah,
We,
absolutely.
we talked about the arm race, so this is exactly the arm race.
It's like an arms race, but like a really fast,
Yeah,
really
yeah.
crazy arms
It's
race.
so we see like we have the IDF for army, front. This is another front of attacks
Wow.
in level of multinations, in level of pro-Palestinians attackers, and we find ourselves trying to progressing alongside with the attacks. It seems you're getting concerned more and more.
Yeah, I always I've done a few kind of cyber AI interviews and they're just terrifying every single time.
Yeah.
So, speaking of, we're already terrified, let's get more scared. What do you see as being the biggest cyber threat today?
So as I mentioned, AI, it's a big word,
Yeah.
but I think that it's on personal level and also in the organization level. So in organization level, we see the supply chain leak, which is another of surface for attacking. We discussed about it. We see also cloud. People, organization moved a lot of silos to the cloud and workspace to the cloud. And we see a very, let's say, increasing demand to defend on the cloud,
Yeah.
on APIs, all the connections between applications. Like I said, because we have no trust of, who is plugged in. So we see a threat from, insider employees.
Wow.
Yeah, so we need to suspect on everyone.
It's like the zero trust
Yeah, it's
thing.
like the zero trust. So this is, and I think that the automated solutions that comes oftenly increasing, the risk because of the amount of this kind of attacks.
Mm.
So we need to defend ourselves.
What other things, what other threats? If we're anyway terrified, let's keep it going. Give us kind of more of a perspective. What are the threats we're seeing in the landscape right now?
Yeah. So we see also IoT, Internet of Things,
Oh,
a
yeah.
lot of devices that talk to each other in our home, in our office.
I have friends that use their like watch with their Alexa to start the oven, to turn on the dude for the hot water. Like I really don't
Yeah.
have that, but I see friends that their
So
whole
how
system.
can we secure this connection between all the devices?
Wow.
There are smart homes today,
Yeah.
and things are more automatically. And if someone take over on this, what's happening? So
What is
the,
happening? What's
what's happening? Yeah. So a lot of things can happen. It can deny a lot of services at home. A lot
can
of things.
I mean, can it like use say your Alexa has a microphone to listen to you speak? Does that mean that like someone can use your Alexa to record what's happening in your house? Like, what are the threats to people we're talking about?
Yeah, I think more on operative things.
Mm.
Shut down a lot of components at home, electricity, let's say,
Oh,
and things like that. Yeah,
that's
so
not great.
yeah, so this is something we see, and because of all the AI and automation, everything, there is a quantum computing era now. So
Mm.
quantum computing era is super computing, and for this we need also a post-quantum cybersecurity. So everything need a reaction. You see, it's evolving. Every reaction needs to have a reaction, and the evolving is so fast that we need to find the solutions for everything. So this is another thing. Also, the identities of people. How should I recognize that you is you? It's like a deep fake, but even more. So a lot of kind of stuff. We need to ensure that everyone is authenticate. We need to authenticate.
And it's like you need new ways to authenticate people because before, if you could use, I don't know, voice, but now someone can fake your voice.
Exactly,
That's so
exactly,
scary.
exactly.
Are there other things in the landscape we should talk about?
I think these are my most of the things.
So let's finish on maybe a more let's like um finish on give us some confidence. Let's finish on a less scary note. Tell us like what is Innocom doing? How are you guys fighting these threats? How many companies are you securing? Kind of what do things look like in your company?
Yeah, so Innocom is working with most of the enterprises organization in Israel along all sectors. It can be also MOD, IDF, and also government, finance, and things like that. So Innocom mission is, to analyze and see what is the needs of the market because of this arm race and all the evolving things, and try to bring the innovative solutions to the market. So we have a protection of all the layers of data, of networking, of AI, and things like that. And this is exactly what we are doing for more than 20 years. Um, this is, and we try, to provide, let's say, more solutions, eliminate this kind of attacks.
Tomer, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you for hosting me.